GKFX Prime presents the Market Analysis Webinar.
Hello everyone, welcome traders, welcome back to another video. This is the end of the month of September, the final week of the month, and also the final week of this quarter, and next month we'll be going into the final quarter of the year. So we have got some more charts for you this week. Hope you had a good trading week last week. I've picked out a few more possible high probability opportunities for this week. So let's get to it. My name is Dima. Thank you very much for joining me. Let's have a look at what we've got for this week, potentially setting up. I'll start with the calendar as ever. Monday, I've got the speech from Bank of Japan. We've got a speech on the euro. On Tuesday, we have a speech from the Fed, so that's dollar related. Wednesday, we have a speech on the euro and the dollar, and from the US again, for the second time. So that's interesting. That doesn't always happen, so that's something to pay attention to. Both euro and the dollar, double whammy there. On Thursday, we've got GDP figures on the CAD, and we may have a bigger one on the New Zealand dollar, because the Royal Bank of New Zealand, there'll be a speech from them. And then on finishing off Friday, we've got CPI numbers on the euro and core CPI on the dollar. But the main ones I've highlighted in start here for the week. Let's see what we've got on the charts, what the technicals are telling us, and that could line up with these economic calendar events. All right, I've picked out a few here. Let's begin with the major forex pairs, as I usually do, and let's begin with the Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar, we're looking for a sell scenario for a few weeks here now, and we have got that drop. So let me delete all this previous week's stuff here. And let's have a look on the weekly. You can see these are the two levels I marked out previous weeks as targets. We've blown through the first target there, and I've got the second target here at 0.642, something like that. So with that bearish week last week, and also we've got we had strength on the dollar across the board. The dollar rallied higher as a whole, giving strength to the dollar, meaning weakness on dollar related currency pairs. So that weakness, looking for continued lower price, continued weakness on Aussie dollar respectively. So let me just go to the 4 hour now. I've got the here's the low of last week, here's the high of last week. So I would look for a retracement and a better price, more expensive price to continue to the downside. I don't know how far, but this could be the possible target that marked out on the bigger time frame, which would be over 100 pips away. So the first area I'm going to look for a nice better price would be right here. And then if we breach that and do not see a reverse on that area, I'll be looking for this one as a retracement and pull back to the level here where we broke from originally. So yeah, lower prices on Aussie dollar. Let's see if we get that other swing. And so far, the swing from this part here, from the high, we've swung quite a bit. So we need to get a better price and revert back to a fairer value, let's say, to get a better entry. Okay, so that is the Aussie dollar. Okay, next I'm going to have a look at another pair. Let's now go to pound yen. Okay, pound yen. What do we have on pound yen? Last week I was expecting a bounce here to continue higher. However, we did not have a bounce. The market failed and went right through that, which now indicates that we have got renewed strength on the yen and weakness on pound. breaking all these structural levels, indicating very, very clearly this massive weakness. You could see that last week, big bearish candle. I mean, this is a massive 800 pip weak candle, huge. So looking for more bearishness to continue. So just go over to the 4 hour, and I can see here at the moment I'm going to reference this swing high to where we are in the low. Here's the 50% level, so a pullback to a higher price will be very favorable. Price may go lower to the beginning of the week, so we'll see how low that goes down to. So any pullback to a higher price and then a retracement, that pullback, and then a continuation lower would be what I'd be interested in terms of high probability. And then if that's the case, got a level here, and the next level after that obviously is down here. So that's what I'll be looking for, and from at the moment the end of the week down to the next level, that's almost 500 pips, so got a good way to go there. Let's see if we can get a nice risk to reward setup situation there. We may not even reach that high either. I'll have to see where the market wants to reverse from, but a breach of this level will definitely invalidate this whole scenario, and that'll be the end of this idea. So that's the pound yen here. Okay, next I'm going to have a look at another pound pair, so pound New Zealand. We do have New Zealand news, don't we, this week? So let me have a look at the weekly chart. Let me just zoom out. You can see this big ranging movement for a long time on pound New Zealand here. Many weeks of sideways movement, and then last week we had this big wick to the outside. The market reversed and closed very bearish, leaving this reverse hammer, pin bar, whatever you prefer to call it. And I would look for a continuation of that bearishness. There's lots of indecision, and then seems like the market has taken its set and now continued bearishness, especially with the weakness in the pound. So with that, I'm going to look to target the next level down, which is down here at 1.87. Let's look on the 4 hour. Big massive move down, broken structures here, broken lows, and broken low. So now, as ever, looking for a much nicer price retracement. This was a very big drop, over 400 pips. So a nice retracement into this area, or even preferably an area higher. Looking for that. And then again, continuation down to the next level, which is down here. Looking for the continued weakness on the pound and pound New Zealand overall. Not my favorite setup here, just because we have a very large ranging ranging area for a long time here, and not really the best setup, the most favorable one. However, I am leaning towards the downside. And another thing I can look at here is this swing high from this swing low, which is the major move over a higher time frame. We can see we hit the 61.78 and rejected away. So yeah, bearishness favoring the sell scenario there. Let's just go back here to the 4 hour. Obviously, I'd look for, after some reversal price action in one of these two areas, I'd look for this level to be the first target, and then the low here to be the second one. So that's the high probability scenario. I'll have to see how the reaction takes place on the pound New Zealand, especially as it's a lower probability than some of the other setups. So I want to be especially careful here and look for the right scenario wherever confirmations and price action we see when the market gets there. If it gets there, it may not even get there. It may just completely drop. The retracement may be shallow, but either way, best to wait for the price that we prefer on in the market, rather than having decisions being dictated by on the fly by what the market is going through, and it's just the random volatility. Okay, so that's that on the pound New Zealand. Next, I'll go to another New Zealand pair. So I've got Euro New Zealand here. Now, the issue I've got here is that with Euro New Zealand, I've got a conflicting situation here. So Euro New Zealand, I'm looking at a possible long, a buy scenario, whereas pound New Zealand, I was looking at a possible sell. So the issue here is not really trading both, having to be very careful, particularly on the day of the news and the day after. I would be looking to take a trade either before, if it's clean, or wait for the news to pass and then look at the scenario afterwards. But at the moment, this will be the confusing part, and why I'm saying that pound New Zealand doesn't look as clean. I'm going to have to really use a discrepancy in this situation. So let's look at the weekly here. I'm going to just delete everything from the chart. And what I can see is bullish momentum here, bullish weeks, many bullish weeks on the Euro New Zealand. And we're going to see that this level hasn't yet been hit. We're near it. So I'll be looking to go into that level and possibly to a higher level up here on this swing right here. Now, because of this level, it looks like a strong level back from, this is in fact, back from June. Yeah, so this is back from June, this price. So we may have this as a strong level for the market to hit and then move away from. Now, the question is, are we going to get that price action? This may coincide with the pound New Zealand, so we may get a first higher price and then the drop. Now, looking on the 4 hour, see that the week was slightly bullish and then ended up consolidating at the end of the week. So what I'd look for is that higher price, and then from here, where we are trading at the moment, for the market to reach higher. And if it breaches this low here, then I'll be looking to go lower. So this move higher could coincide with the pound New Zealand going higher as well. It's a kind of like a sister pair, Euro New Zealand, pound New Zealand. And then we may have the drop. Now, if that is the case, then I'll be looking for a drop here, just like the pound New Zealand, which would coincide. However, at the beginning, I'm looking for a push higher up, further up. So a push further up would be a breach of the next high. And then if I get a nice retracement, I'll be looking to go higher into this whole zone right here before reconsidering the trade. Now, this could be a little bit of a riskier move because we are so near, we're so close to an important area where the market may reject from. So the higher, this is a very short-term situation, and the higher probability, which may take longer, we may have to wait until the beginning of next month to see it play out, but the higher probability would be the downside. But the interim short-term is the upside. So I'm just letting you know, just giving you the scenario here. I'm not saying that that's exactly what's going to happen. This is not a prediction that it's going to go up and then it's going to drop. However, we'll have to see how the price action fares, and if this scenario plays out, then it could be a high probability buy. And then if the scenario at the top here plays out and we break these structures, then I would look for the low, but that could take some time to form. It could take 1 or 2 weeks, so bear that in mind. Just giving you the possible situation here on Euro New Zealand. Okay, let's move on next to gold. Okay, gold. So gold zooming out, bearish weeks on gold, bearishness, which would make sense with the dollar. I marked out, I think, these lows before, which we now move through. We've got a low right here as well. So with that continuation bearishness, I would look to go lower. So lower still, higher on the dollar, lower on gold. I am going to be careful because of this level, but the next target in terms of going lower would be here at the 1605 point. So with that, let me go to the 4 hour. And I can see here is from the low to the current high. We've got the 50 level here. Can also draw a little zone here. A rough zone where price has been reacting from. So if I do see a pullback to get a nice price, then I would look to enter and then trade down to, first of all, this level here, and then possibly to the next level as a second target. The issue here is that we are so close to the level where we're currently at that we may see a reaction, we may see some range of movement, so the probabilities are reducing on this occasion because of that. So again, want to be trading more carefully here. I do like a nice better price, a higher price, then it would be a better consideration in terms of probabilities. But we could also at the same time break through, right through, and just continue downwards because of the momentum that we're seeing here, a weakness in gold and a momentum of bullishness in the dollar. So let's see how it goes, and based on what the market wants to do, if it produces this price action, if it does this action, then I'll be looking to enter, looking to trade and find the best possible entry based on this bearish bias. Yep, so that's where we are with gold. Let's look on the daily again. You can see we're at a very long-term bearish trend, reaching some important levels here, and yeah, overall, look at the weekly, very clearly ended up bearish. So the bias is to the downside on gold for the coming week. Okay, next I am going to have a look at the S&P, and it's beginning to be quite a favorite one, this, because we are kind of in sync with the market here. So here's what happened last week. First of all, the candle closed very bearish. As you can see, continued bearishness just as expected, falling further, dropping and dropping. Looking on the 4 hour, I marked out this area as a possible place we're going to see a reversal from, and if not, then this was the second place to look for. We did actually have it on this area, and then we had this very clear drop. So S&P dropping further and further to the downside. So we can now remove all these markings from the previous week. These are no longer necessary either. I think this one is also an area we marked before. And now looking for that next level, which is down here. We've already surpassed this level, and beyond that we've got this zone right here. So I'll be looking at that as the next target. In fact, even lower, just to this level right here. Try and make it a little bit more accurate. So first of all, we've got to reach this low and break through it, and then we're going to head for 3,500. That's the outlook. Right, 4 hour, let's have a look what we've got here. So here is the scenario what we've got here. From last week, we've got the high here, we've got the low. So again, I look for a nice better price, and a nice better price would be up here. We've got this gap in the market. You can draw a fib from the high to the low, and you can see that would match with the 61.8, 78 type of area. Above the 50% would be very favorable. So once again, typical usual thing, a nice retracement to a better price, and then looking for that drop into that level. We may first of all hit this level, and then may get that retracement after breaking through it temporarily. I don't know if the market's going to do that, but it has a tendency to. So in terms of probabilities, either way, looking for a nice retracement if we get that, before dropping to the downside with this big pullback. Now, of course, that might not happen. It's also a possibility if I look down to this zone, that's also an area to look for. So again, we could have the same scenario as last week. We may have a much shallower retracement than expected, and considering how shallow we've had it so far, shallow retracement, then drop, retracement, then drop. And again, it's being very, very weak. This S&P here is very obviously weak. So yeah, I wouldn't really bet on a very big retracement at this moment. So may have to observe this area and see what we get in terms of price action if we get a further drop, a further weak candles to drop lower the S&P here. Okay. Yeah, very clearly weak, isn't it? It's some big danger zone for the market at the moment. And breaking this major low will be pretty, I would say, disastrous for this market. This will be the next level, and then further on in the future, obviously we've got this level down here. All right, so that's the S&P. Okay, and finally, I'm just going to end up with Bitcoin as usual, as is usually the case, isn't it? Okay, so to remind you on Bitcoin, if you haven't been with me in the last few weeks or last week, the outlook is bearish, as you may or may not have guessed. Still got these levels drawn up as the targets. We have now reached this level, the 18,500. We've got this 15k level as well. We are now stuck in this big range. However, let me just delete that for clarity. There is bearishness, there is big bias to the downside. We've got very obvious, clear bearish candles, and then followed by mild retracement, and then drops. So you can obviously see that the big seller bearish candles are very big, while the bullish candles are small in comparison. So biases to the downside. Now, last week closed bearish as well. We hit the low. We're now in this range. So it's not a favorable scenario to trade inside the range, because we still don't know how long we're going to be stuck here, whether we're going to go back to the middle of the range, to the top of the range, and come back down. We could be ping pong, doing a ping pong scenario back and forth, you know, from top to bottom, bottom to top. However, with the bias to the downside, I am going to look for a short. So looking here on the 4 hour, this is what I was looking at before, up to this level and to short from there. Didn't have that. That did not happen. So let's reassess the situation. No probability scenario there last week. Last week was all, you can see, this is what happens a bit with the behavior in a range. We just get this indecision. You can see where we basically ended up right now. Where we are right now is more or less, give or take, beginning where we started the week. So anyway, the bias is still to the downside, and I still favor a better price. Now, we may not reach that high because of the extreme weakness, so I'm just going to adjust, because we're going lower and lower and lower. Adjust this area. May have something a little bit bigger, and let's see what we get from there. If we come back, get a much better price into this price gap right here, and then drop from there. If that does not happen, so we're going up here, possible reversal price action, and down the low. Now, if we continue and break below, that will be a significant sign of even more bearishness than we thought in the market. So if that's what happens, then a drop lower, and again a retracement, and then continuation to the downside to the next level target would be a possibility. And there's a nice risk reward there. You don't even have to get there to be profitable, but yeah, it looks decent at the moment as it stands. So that's the alternative scenario there. If we get that, or as ever, just like last week, we may continue even longer, ranging even longer. That could easily happen. You can see here previous weeks we had a week ranging, and then the next week was more or less ranging as well, slightly bullish. Bitcoin is volatile, as many of you may know, and it can move very, very quickly. So yeah, expect to be surprised. That's all I can say for the moment. But let's see if these scenarios plays out, then I will be reassessing. Right then, just mark out this level here in case it's of interest later on. Yeah, so that is the weekly chart on Bitcoin, and you can see the clear weakness in this market. Okay then, so those are the charts for this week. Those are the high probability scenarios. Hope you can make the most of them, and you have another fruitful week of trading. Pick them carefully. I will, as ever, remind you of your risk management, reminding you that we've got 2 pound pairs here. You don't want to be piling in on both with extra risk. We've got 2 New Zealand pairs as well. So once again, manage your risk. We've got the Aussie dollar connected to the dollar, Bitcoin connected to the dollar, gold connected to the dollar, and S&P also dollar. So we don't want to be trading everything at once, and picking more carefully here, especially with the news this week. So any trades you take, just as a tip, before the news, you may want to really adjust your trade and reassess it as you get close to the news itself, or let the news happen, let it unfold, and then after the news, based on what the market, how it plays out, then enter. So that is what we're looking at for this week. So manage your risk and then play smartly. Okay, thank you very much for joining me this week. My name is Dima. Hope you have a good week. See you next week with more chart analysis and more potential high probability setups. Okay, thank you very much, and see you next week.